Welcome back to Fantasy Football RPG, your go-to source for all things fantasy football. Join us for expert analysis, top strategies, and the latest insights to help you dominate your league. Let's level up your game and dive into the nitty-gritty. Without further ado, let's get the action.
Welcome back. It is week 14 of the NFL season, which is bonkers to me. Season is just absolutely flying by. Tonight, we have a special occasion because we have both David and Evan on the show. And then you guys are used to me. I'm your host, Mike. David, we're talking about Bryce Young tonight.
Yeah, we are.
You've been a little out on Bryce. Evan, I don't know how you felt about Bryce coming out, but I kind of poo-pooed on him. Like, he looks like he can play ball. So he's valued as the QB 23 on Fantasy Calc right now. Currently scoring as quarterback 33 on the year. His quarterback 37 in points per game because Jameis Winston is a god, and Justin Fields had a spurt where he was actually useful. So, David, I'll throw it over to you. Like, what do you think about Bryce Young? Like, is this real? Is he going to be the Panthers guy?
I'm not sure if he's going to be the Panthers guy long term, but the way he's been playing, barring an epic collapse, I do think he's going to be their guy, at least to start 2025. Normally, you don't go back to a guy you bench after 2 starts. But I think Bryce has just done too much to ignore. It's not a particularly good quarterback class right now, and it looks like the Panthers, with so many bad teams in the league, the Panthers probably won't be in a situation where they can get a top 5 pick and secure one of those guys without trading up. And the last time they traded up, it had pretty dire consequences. So if I'm Carolina, I'm running it back one more year. Andy Dalton's a free agent. Maybe I try to bring him back as an insurance policy or get another free agent like bridge guy, just in case this is just a fluke. But I think Young's done enough that he's going to have a shot to prove himself in 2025.
Yeah, I think so. I was listening to PFF NFL Stock Exchange, a bunch of sex addicts over there. If you guys listen to the show, that's a great joke. If you don't, I sound very weird. But they said there's only 2 first-round quarterbacks in the class right now in their mind, and that's Cam Ward, Shadur Sanders, and even each of them have giant red flags. So, Evan, let's say theoretically he starts all of 2025. It's currently valued as a mid-25 second and a mid-26 second. Are you buying him for that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a super flex quarterback, so that should be about going price. You would think giving up 2 seconds for a QB that is looking like he's on an upswing. Let's also throw up a little bit of a yellow flag here because of the fact that he is just voluming himself to points here.
Yep.
Looking at 35 and then 46 pass attempts in the last 2 games against 2 defenses that I think KC is bottom 10, I think, in passing yards against so far this year, and Tampa is like bottom 3, bottom 4 in passing yards against. So let's also keep that in mind. He still couldn't crack 300 yards. So also another thing to be concerned with, a yellow flag here, but he's getting the volume, and that's what you want to see. We've seen the seasons where Herbert just volumes himself. We've seen the season where Dak just volumes himself into fantasy relevance, and that's exactly what he could do.
You heard it here first. Evan said that Bryce Young is Justin Herbert. But no, yeah, the pace that he's at right now, I just looked it up. It would be first in the league in pass attempts per game. Panthers haven't been doing that because they're addicted to Chuba Hubbard. But I think 2 seconds, like, that's a pretty fair price. I don't think so. Let's talk about expectations here. David, do you ever think that Bryce Young, let's say he goes on, there's already a giant red flag, like maybe he's not even going to be the starter at the end of 2025. Maybe he's going to be the starter at 26. There's a lot of risk associated with that. Is there any upside for fantasy points, or is it just volume and he's a quarterback 2 that you're hoping for a spike?
So there is a little bit of upside. He was the first overall pick for a reason. And yes, volume's definitely played a role the past few weeks, but I also want to point out the last 2 weeks, which was the Chiefs game and the Buccaneers game, Bryce Young was 8th in the league in EPA per play, which is an efficiency stat. That's something that, you can throw it 50 times, you can throw it 10. That's not really going to change. And obvious caveat, those defenses aren't pretty good, but it's still worth noting that it's not like he's, 2020 Gardner Minshewing his way to success here. There is some talent on display. One thing I like too is he's doing it with a lot of the younger talent. We've seen Xavier Legette have his moments. We've seen Jalen Coker, an undrafted free agent. He's had some good moments. The 4th round pick, Jatavian Sanders, he's been pretty good. Adam Thielen's old. Who knows how much he has left in his tank. But all the other guys, they're going to grow up. They're going to get better with him. So I don't think you're ever going to have a guy that finishes as like the QB1 in fantasy. But if you're looking for a guy that can like be a comfortable like QB 15, QB 20, that's pretty valuable in Superflex. I'm not saying it's likely, but it's within the range of outcomes. And for 2 seconds, I'm very comfortable gambling that.
Evan, it seems like you have thoughts.
It's interesting. You look at the games that he's played since coming back. The only road game he's played was in Denver. Mightily struggled in that game. He has another road game coming up against Philly this coming week. I have a sneaky suspicion that he's going to struggle in that game as well.
Are you implying that the Philadelphia Eagles pass defense is better than the Buccaneers? That's
wow. What a novel concept with a rookie corner and another rookie corner, and big play Slay.
The two best rookie corners in the draft that everyone was furious the Eagles got.
Yeah, very much so. Fixing the secondary in one draft, gotta love that. But yeah, Philly is not an easy place to play. You're going to see how he handles the noise. You're going to see how he handles potentially elements. You're going to see how he handles a defensive line that can be able to get after the quarterback with just 4 and not having to actually rush. I will also say the offensive line has been significantly better than I expected this season. Mm-hmm. I think that is something that people really expected to see this coming season. And Bryce struggling in the start of the season was a little rough, but typically schemes take a little bit to get themselves going. Just look at Herbert and the new scheme that they're running in LA. Obviously, he struggled in the beginning part of the season. So maybe that time off is just what Bryce needed to be able to understand the scheme, maybe be able to study it a little bit more, figure out where his strengths are, how he can utilize the scheme to his benefit. And, there's some gelling going on. So we'll see, but some hesitancy might. All right.
Yep.
Right around him on Fantasy Calc is Michael Penix, who some people are already clamoring for down in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Make a playoff run, throwing in that potential, rookie quarterback potential could do that. Sam Darnold is also right around him. Matthew Stafford is right around him. If you are a playoff team for fantasy, are you bailing on what we've seen from Bryce Young to be able to go get Sam Darnold or Matthew Stafford?
Yes.
Yeah.
If I need a QB2, yes.
Yeah. If I'm truly all in, I'm going for those two. If I'm rebuilding, I'm probably taking Penix over Young just for the unknown of the situation where, Young's had a few good weeks, but the large body of work is still bad. Penix, we don't know. I wasn't the biggest fan of him coming out, but Cousins is washed. Like, they'll roll with him for a little while longer, the Falcons will, but I expect him to be starting before the end of the year if this keeps up.
The more I watch Jalen Polk play football, the more impressed I am with Michael Penix. So
don't bring Polk into this.
I'm sorry. But no, we know that Bryce Young is his ceiling for fantasy football is a mid-range QB2. Like best case scenario, he volumes his way to a very low-end QB1. I would rather roll the dice with Penix if I'm rebuilding. I would rather have the points now if I'm competing. I think he's the type of asset that will have some staying power if he keeps the job. But we've also seen some quarterbacks go on a 2-week stretch. We all buy back in. We all get excited. You're talking to a Kenny Pickett supporter recovering. You can see the glimpses and get excited about it. But let's see him against the Eagles. Let's see him against, the Cardinals. He does have the Cowboys, Buccaneers, and Falcons. So we're going to leave with a very positive feeling. I would be trying to move to go with my team build. But if your trade deadline's already passed, you get a little bit of extra body of work to see what's going on. All right. So bottom line, we think that the price is fine in terms of rookie picks, but we do think the player value may be a little too high. Maybe make some different things. If you guys made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. David, thank you for coming on. And Evan, I love you.
For sure.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at FFRPGPod and at FFMikeCash with a K. Don't let the goblins get you. We'll see you next week.